G'day there everyone, Daniel Anderson here. Welcome to another edition of SharePoint 101, where we're going to take a look at how we can utilize multiple instances of the out-of-the-box SharePoint News Webpart to display different types of content. So you might be in a situation and is common on an intranet where you might want to show company news and updates in one section, let's say at the top of an intranet homepage, but then underneath that display some additional news articles, or it might be blog articles or news articles from your public website. So I'm going to show you an approach that can achieve that end outcome just by using a couple of out-of-the-box web parts and then also some metadata on the site pages library. So if we take a little bit of a step back, every single page or news post that you create actually ends up in a library that is called site pages. So in site contents, we have, in addition to our document libraries, we've got this library that we call site pages. Now, any page or any news article or any news link post ends up in this library here. So you can see here that we've got our columns and we've got the ability to add additional metadata. So let's start by adding a column for category. All right, so again, I'm just going to jump up to the cog in the top right-hand corner. I'm going to go to site information, and then I will go to view all site settings. Now I'm going to create a site column here, which means that we can reuse this column across any library contained in this particular site. So create and click on site columns. Let's create a column and let's just call this category. All right, so we'll call this Contoso category. All right, so there we are there. We'll just make it a simple choice column, and then we will add some choices. So let's go news and updates. And what we then might also pop in there is blog posts. All right, so we'll go blog posts, and we're going to use that blog posts category to use the news link post type in SharePoint. Okay, so we're just going to choose those two there. We'll click OK. So now that we've created our site column, we want to jump back to the site pages library. So again, let's jump into site contents. We'll go to the settings of the site pages library, and we're going to add that column that we just created. So jump into settings, and down, if we scroll under the column section here, we can add from existing site columns. So let's click on that link there, and we're going to be taken to this section here. So now we'll be able to find the column that we just created, which was called Contoso category. There it is there. We'll drag that across and we'll click OK. So that's now going to add that to our library. What we can start to do now is use that column, and I'll pop this the view back into all pages or all items view of the site pages library, and then I'll pop it into quick edit Quick Edit used to be Quick Edit, now Edit in Grid View. And then what that's going to allow us to do is set our category column. Now, one thing we need to do first is we need to show that column. All right, so let's just jump back out. Let's go add a column, and then we'll go show or hide columns, and then we'll pick that column to add to our view, which is down the bottom here. There we go, Contoso category. We'll click apply, and now we've got that on our all pages view. So I'm just going to save this view now, and we'll save it as all pages, and now we've got our categories. So if I edit in grid view now, we can then go through and categorize each one of these. All right, so let's just go news and updates for a few, and then what we might do is then go for blog post for a couple of others, just to give us a little bit of data, and then we will exit grid view. All right, so now we've got a few items that we've classified or tagged with a particular category. If we jump back onto the home page now, let's configure our news web parts. And we're going to use two instances of the news web part and then target those particular page properties in this case. So here we are back on the home page. We'll just wait for that to load. We'll pop this page into edit mode, and underneath this hero web part here, we'll add our first news web part. So scrolling down here, let's just scroll up a little bit. Underneath this hero web part, we'll hit the plus, which will launch the web part toolbox. Let's just type in news like so, and we'll click news, and then we'll edit the properties of this web part. So when I click on the pencil icon, the properties dialog box or the pane will appear on the right hand side. Now, what we can do here is when we select this site, we can then use this filtering option, and we've got this option here called page properties. We can then select a property of a page and target and filter out the right information or the right content. So we've got the property name of Contoso category. If that equals news and updates, I want to display those through this top web part. All right, so let's republish that, and let's ensure that we've got some content coming through into that web part. Now we can see here that we don't have any content that's actually displaying through this news web part. Now that is because we haven't published those pages, all right? So we changed some metadata to those pages, but we need to publish those, all right? So we'll just jump back into site contents, and then we'll go to the site pages library, and then we'll select the pages that we have just changed the category on. We just need to go back and republish those. So we can see here with this yellow book, we can see that we've got to publish a few pages here. So let's just select a few, and then we'll go through the publish process. So we can publish these in bulk. So you can see I've selected quite a few, and then we hit the publish button, and then we are good to go. All right, so that you can see in the top right hand corner, we're publishing 8 items. They are now good and published. So let's open up the home page again. So I've just right clicked, open it up in a new tab, and now when that page loads, that web part will have that information in that news web part there. So we can see that we've got some content coming through here. Now, if we now edit our web part again, or edit our page again, let's now add an additional web part that is targeting a different value for that property. All right, so let's now go and add another web part underneath the news web part. We'll call this one blogs. All right, so we'll add another web part. We'll use the same instance of the news web part here. So we'll go news, and then you can see we've got some news coming through here, but that's the default. And then we'll hit the pencil icon, panel will slide out from the right. And again, we want to use the filtering option here. So the page properties, we select our property Contoso category equals, we want blog posts there. So when I select blog posts, then that will also mean that only pages that have been tagged with blog posts will appear in that web part. So let's republish this and have a look at what we've got. All right. So again, we might need to go back into our pages library. Let's just have a look at what we've got here. So we do have a few that have been published. Let's actually go and create our own. All right, so let's go new news link. All right, so what we're going to do here with a news link, it means that we can paste a URL of any web page, and it's going to scrape that web page for us, grab the title, grab an image, and then grab the description of that page. So let's just grab this one here. We'll grab the URL. We'll copy this URL. We'll jump back to our landing, our page here. We'll paste in that URL. You can see that it's getting the page information. So if you're publishing blog posts or information on your public website, for example, then what we can do is you can use this news link to then create and bring that content into your intranet as well. Now, we need to be able to tag that with a blog post though. So I've just clicked that little link where it says edit the link details. And then what that is going to allow us to do is jump into our page details. So if we click page details, right hand side, we can scroll down here to Contoso category, and then we can choose blog posts and post this piece of news. So once that's been posted and published, then on the home page of the site, what we're going to see when I jump back over here is that new news link will appear in that web part that has been configured to show those blog posts there. So you can see that has now appeared. Now let's fix up this news web part here. All right, so let me just jump back into the site contents. Let's make this look a little bit nicer. So we'll jump back into site contents, and then let's just have a look at our site pages, and we'll remove a few pages and just mark a few others as news and updates. All right, so we'll wait for this to load. I'm just going to flick the view back over to all pages, and then we can see what we've got. All right, so again, what we might do is let's just go filter by on this library. Let's go news and updates, hit apply, and let's have a look here. So I don't want that one. I don't want this one. And these ones here are actually, the reason these ones aren't appearing is that these aren't actually news articles. All right. So how do we know which one's a news article and which one is just a normal SharePoint page? Well, there is a column that is called promoted state. And if we show that, it's going to give us a numeric number here. So if we look for the column that's called promoted state, and let me just scroll down, I'll try and find it. There it is there, promoted state, and apply. So what that's going to give us is a number, and we can see that these are 0, which means 0 is actually a normal SharePoint page. So let's just remove the filter there, and you can see that we've now got some different numbers. So you can see here that 2s are actually news articles, and we can see that by this blog post. So what we need to do is find all the 2s, and then let's filter by number 2. And then these are all our news articles, right? Now, let's pop this into grid view. And then what we're going to do is just associate news and updates to a few of these. And then we might also add a few more blog posts to the mix here as well. And then add a few more news and updates. So what this will do once we exit this grid view, and again, remembering we're going to need to publish these. All right, so you can see that we've got these yellow books here. So I'll select all of these, and I'm going to publish these all at once. All right, so we'll go publish. Now, once these have been published, we can see top right hand corner again, 8 selected, 8 published. Jump back to the landing homepage, and what we'll see is now two populated web parts with the correct information. This one up here is displaying all the news and updates, any article that's been added as a news and update, or this one here, which is our blog posts category there as well. So that's how we can combine and use the news web part to create a different experience on the homepage, for example, of your intranet, and we can show different information based on certain categories from the single site pages library. So I hope that brings you some value today. Thanks for watching. See you in the next edition.